Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Search, Deploy, Commit. I'm here today with Farah, one of the top one-on-one players, top three-on-three players, tournament host, map maker, extraordinaire of everything, jack of all trades. What else can I say? Thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
Absolutely. And am I saying that right, Farah? Is that how you would prefer to go by, or?
Um, I actually have no clue, so whatever you prefer, it's fine.
Oh, so wow. So am I the first person to say this out loud? Yikes. Okay. Well, I guess from here henceforth it's Farah.
Farah it is.
So yeah, thank you again for being on the podcast. Really excited when you offered to join because just looking at your repertoire in the Warzone community, there's so many different things that you've done as a player, but that's what's great about Warzone is there's all these other different things that you get to do. So usually though I like to start as far as all my other interviews, about when you first started. So do you remember how you got introduced to the game or how you came across it?
Yeah. I decided to Google Risk Online back in 2013, and I made an account with a roommate to play on. And at some point, I made this new account called Farah, or well, you said Farah, right?
That's how I said it, yeah.
Okay, Farah.
You can say Farah, that's fine.
So I decided to make my own account and play from there.
Nice.
And we used to do single player against each other in the house. But at some point I figured that competitive multiplayer was really where the game was at. Because there was no Warzone Idol, there wasn't anything like that.
Nice. So you really just kind of got connected to something more competitive pretty shortly after you started doing one-on-one with just your friends, which is great because I'm still doing that right now as a player. Just playing with people I know locally, which is cool.
It took me about 2 years. Then
Okay.
I joined a clan. I joined M Hunters. And I think I was in M Hunters for 2 years before some drama took place, and I transferred to the Master Clan.
Gotcha. And with the Monster Clan, that's who you're still with now, correct?
No, I am currently in Blitz.
Okay.
So basically, Blitz provided a lot of players for Master Clan, and at some point, a lot of players from Master Clan came back to Blitz.
Okay. Gotcha. So there's obviously some backstories there. We don't have to necessarily get into that right now. But as far as like when you started, playing more competitively, obviously at that first point in time with that clan, was this specifically around clan wars, or was it more tournament based, or what did you start doing specifically?
I started out with the 1v1 ladder because I thought that was the biggest achievement a player could get, like the first place on the 1v1 ladder.
Sure.
Turns out that's not entirely true. But I wanted to learn 1v1, and then I got into contact with some like really pro players, the best of the game. And I started playing 3v3 Europe with them, which is exceptionally hard if you're just starting out. And I really liked it, so I just kept going. And at some point, from trying to be a competitive player, I went to compete in Clan League. And, Clan Wars wasn't a thing at the time, so Clan League was all you had to test whether a clan was strategically good or bad.
Sure.
And I competed for M Hunters at first, for Masters afterwards. And then I started booting for Blitz.
Wow, so you've had a lot of experience, competitively with different teams. Maybe even just a quick overview of maybe some advice that you would give to somebody that wants to start playing competitively, maybe that's just doing it locally, or, you know, what kind of advice, or maybe even just walk us through what you liked or maybe didn't like about some of your competitive play and what you learned from that.
I think the biggest advice you can get is analyze your games. Like, find out why you lost, especially lost games. Don't look back at the wins. They won't tell you anything. Look at why you lost, why someone overtook this one bonus of yours. Why did he have more income, or why did he beat you with less income? How did they pick? Like, after a game, go back through the history, play it move for move, and see what's happening. What tricks are they using? Why is their deployment in a certain order? Why are their moves in a certain order? And after you've done the whole analyzing bit, it quite often becomes more clear what you can do better. And that's what I really enjoyed, like learning how to beat my peers. Although some peers are still above me.
That's awesome. You know, as far as, you know, playing competitively, I think you hear a lot of pro athletes to say similar things to what you're saying right now, which is, you know, focusing on losses and where you can improve and how you can get better. Do you practice on a regular occasion before you get into tournaments? I mean, is there any advice, even from like if there's not somebody else, is there ways that you can plan or prepare for competitive play?
So for really big tournaments, we play games within the clan. Like, we practice against each other and figure out who's good on the template, who's going to represent us for that template. But it also gives you kind of the momentum to perform well. But real practice for a tournament, that's been a long time. I don't think I've done that more than 3 or 4 times.
Okay. I just wasn't sure. I mean, is there anything, and you've set up tournaments too, is there any planning that goes into that, even from like when you hear about a tournament, what does that look like, or when you're hosting one? What does that setup look like, you know, since we're on the subject? So
there's real-time tournaments and multi-day tournaments. For the real-time ones, it's usually on a stream, so you can fill it. And you can fill it with, well, good people. And for a multi-day tournament, it's just, you set it up, you see who joins, and you have a good tournament, hopefully. But, you know, there's layers in how competitive tournaments are. You have these random things you get invited to, and you just click join and you play. And there's tournaments where every game matters, and you're put up against people equal to your skill, so you want to outperform them, and it gets really hard. And when you set those harder tournaments, when you set those up, it actually takes some decent preparation.
Yeah, I mean, are we talking, you know, invites and scheduling? I mean, we're talking about obviously 2 different types of tournaments. So real-time tournaments are, you know, played obviously live, maybe over how long would you say a real-time tournament lasts?
Usually about 1 or 2 hours.
Okay. And then a multi-day tournament, is it just until the game ends, or is there a limit on typically those games?
No, it's until every game's ended. So some multi-day tournaments are played within a few days, and some of them take a year or 2.
Wow, so it really, there's a lot that can change depending upon the type of tournament that it is. Would you say that there's more, what's the word I should use, variety in real-time tournaments versus multi-day tournaments? Is there more of a, you know, this is the pinnacle of of Warzone competitive play would be real time versus multi-day, or is it kind of two different categories?
If you have a stream where really competitive people are watching and playing a real-time tournament, it can get really competitive, but usually the big battles are decided in multi-day.
Okay. So the prestige comes from winning the multi-day tournaments. And I'm assuming
definitely.
Clan Wars has taken over some of that as well. Not, beyond just other tournaments.
If you mean Clan League, yeah.
Because I've definitely heard of multiple different tournaments and leagues that are going on. I mean, from your opinion, what would you say is sort of the premier league, if you will, of the Warzone tournaments and leagues?
That's Clan League, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's
in
great.
Clan League, we have 4 divisions, and Division A is filled to the brim with great players.
And you guys are competing against each other all the time?
Yeah.
Wow. Is there a place where people can go and check out these matches, or is this an invite-only league?
No, it's actually... there's a website. It's called Warzone Clot.
Okay.
Clot standing for Custom Ladder or Tournament. And it's entirely made by 2 players called B and Justin. They've designed a whole website around these tournaments and around hosting different kinds of tournaments.
Wow.
So everyone with access to the site, which should be everyone with a Warzone account, they can check it out and they can view the standings, view statistics about who is doing well, who is doing bad. So there's a whole infrastructure behind Warzone that players have made to actually follow these tournaments.
Wow, which is so cool. I mean, I think that's just, all these different rabbit holes that I find myself going down with this game. And that might be common knowledge to everybody, but I think even, newer players just might not be aware of this, which is why we want to talk about it and ask these questions. But
exactly.
Is there advice that you could give as far as somebody that's starting out, maybe looking for this tournament or wanting to join a clan, or somebody that's just starting to play competitively? I know you've spoken a little bit to, focusing on your losses and looking back and what you can do better. Is there a way to get into the clan league, or what does that process look like?
Yeah, find a community that fits you. So try posting on the forums, I'm looking for a clan and I'm looking for more of a social experience or a competitive experience. I want to learn this, or I know how to do this and this. Just ask around on the forums, people will approach you, and you'll probably get some offers from training clans, for example. 101st is a great example. They train a lot of new players, and they've actually brought some really big names in the scene just by training them. So if you find a clan that suits your needs, you can really get into the competitive scene quite fast.
Right on. I think that's great advice. Getting connected with the clan, people that are invested in the game. I think that's great.
I shouldn't have promoted 101st. They hate me at the moment.
I'm sure everybody's got their own notoriety and beef somewhere, but
oh, definitely.
That's some of the fun too, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Is there a favorite tournament or match that you can remember? Even just share a bit of that moment in the game that you maybe pulled away and won, or maybe even just a tournament that you thought was epic.
I think there's one tournament we played live. I was streaming it, and usually when you're streaming a tournament, you don't get far, you lose, right? It's a real-time tournament. You're doing two, three things at the same time. So your focus is not on the game, and people can watch the game on stream while they're playing you.
Sure.
So you tend to lose quite early. And this one tournament, we were playing on timid lands, and the tournament was quite stacked. There were great players like Maldarian, Timinator, I think Master of Disaster, Rack Leader, big names in the community. And suddenly I find myself in the finals, and I'm like, wait, I'm in the finals while I'm streaming. That doesn't usually happen. So on stream, I just went silent. I was like, no talking anymore. Time to focus on the game. And I won the tournament.
Wow.
Which was unexpected.
Oh, that's always exciting.
That was a good moment.
Who did you finish off for the title?
Maldarian, I think. Let me check. It must have been Maldarian, because I remember rubbing it in his face.
And I'm sure Maldarian was a perfectly good sport.
Oh yeah, he is. We actually met up in real life.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great. Have you ever heard about that? The Warlight Opens? Or the Warzone Opens?
I have not, please. That's what we're here for. Tell us.
So, there's been 3 official Warzone events, I think. Official, organized by the players. 2 of them have been in Berlin, in Germany, and one of them at my house, in Groningen, in the Netherlands.
Nice.
So I had, I think, about 8 or 9 players over. Most of them stayed the weekend. So we live streamed the whole thing, had some beer, played some tournaments, lost horribly to the community.
That's great, though. I mean, that you guys have been able to get together and connect over this game, I think, is what makes it so unique and just fun. And the fact that you got to host it, I bet that was quite a party.
It was a party, yeah, trust me.
That's great. And I don't want to, sort of go long here, but just there's a lot of different things that you've done in the game. Is there, I've seen you've made a couple maps. Now, I know there's a couple people that just play strictly and they don't make any maps, and I haven't actually looked at your entire list. It looks like you've made 3, but what was your experience as far as map making? You might not be as prestigious as somebody like Lionheart, but no, did you enjoy that process, or was it something that any tips for somebody that's trying to get started?
So yeah, I couldn't touch the toes of Lionheart in terms of map making. He's the true genius. To learn map making was quite painful because I never worked with any graphical software.
Okay.
So I had to learn how to Inkscape on a really old PC, which is not what Inkscape wants you to do. And at some point, I figured out a few tricks. I made a guide on how to do easy map making, mostly for myself because I kept forgetting the shortcuts.
Sure.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah, then I made 3 maps. I didn't really enjoy making them. I just enjoyed the positive reviews.
Right.
And making templates for them.
Yeah, I think everybody finds their niche in the game, right? And I think it's important that everybody at least tries to start up something, right? If at least you were able to get started and do that. And I think, after hearing what Lionheart had to say about that, definitely some, even for myself, I want to get started. So would be great if we could, maybe share that video. I could link it in the episode here so everybody can check that out. Your starting tips.
It's a Google presentation, I think.
Oh, right on. Perfect.
Yeah, so, it's how I made one of my maps, and it just has Inkscape, shortcuts, how to make clean borders, stuff like that.
Right on. is, we talk about all these different things that you've done as a player, and so great to reminisce on some of your best moments and your history with different clans and things. But I want to talk about the game itself from your perspective. This is kind of that moment where I give people an opportunity if there's anything they'd like to see improved in the game, or things that they'd like to see continue in Warzone, whether it be the game itself or the community or whatever it is. This is kind of your moment to share your thoughts on it.
All right. So first and foremost, what most of the strategic community wants is have the name changed back to Warlight. But that's not going to happen. I'd love to see the integration of the multi-template ladder to the actual site. It's a player-made ladder, just like the 1v1 ladder, but it has, I think, 30 templates.
Okay.
And it has a better rating system. It's an improved version of the 1v1 ladder, but not a lot of people play it because it's not on the actual website.
I see.
But if anything, visitors should consider implementing that.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a competitive player, but I think I've heard that same sentiment among other people as far as the things that I've done research in and what I've heard. So, the other thing that I want to ask about, to sort of sum all of this up, obviously you've been playing Warzone for a really long time. What is it about the game that really stands out to you? I mean, obviously you've made some friendships, some pretty serious friendships through this, but maybe speak to that further, or what is it about Warzone that keeps bringing you back to the game?
I think it really is the community. I haven't played a Warzone game in a long time. But I am in all these Discord servers where, well, people are who I actually like. We play other games together. We have voice chats, video chats, and stuff like that. We even meet up in real life. So what keeps me coming back is the community.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just keeps this keeps getting brought up, and I think it's really important to keep talking about, because people need to know that. People need to make sure that they know that there's people out there that are wanting to play these games, and there's friendships to be made, and some really cool things that we get to create, and stories and memories. So
yeah,
thank you for everything you've done and put together for Warzone, and really great talking to you. Awesome that you've just had so many different facets of the game under your belt. So great we could have you here on this. Is there anything else you'd like to share personally that you're working on with everybody, even maybe outside of Warzone or anything like that? Any plugs?
There was this project where we were changing the rating system for the 1v1 ladder.
Okay.
I've been really busy, but I've got some time in the summer, so I'd like to pick that back up. So anyone who knows some mathematics and statistics and programming, they're welcome to join. And maybe we can change the system forever.
Cool. And should they just reach out to your account on Warzone then, or?
Yeah. Okay.
Helps. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Farah, for being on the podcast with me and spending some time. Thank you guys all for listening. Please join us again for the next one. Check out our YouTube page. We're doing how to play on there as well, and adding more as time goes on. But thank you so much, Farah. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. As we're recording this, it'll come out on Monday, but thanks again.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Take care, everybody.